Welcome to my channel, I'm Dani, and today I have a very exciting collaboration with my friend here on YouTube, Eva from Fuchsia Floyd. And the topic of this collaboration is Lady Dior hacks. So I have my Lady Dior in this dust bag over here. Let me just take her out. So here is my Lady Dior, and she is in cherry red patent leather with champagne gold hardware. My Lady Dior over here is the newer model that has the flap opening instead of the zippered opening. And she does come with a detachable adjustable strap that I have in there. I've already done an in-depth review of this bag on my channel, and if you're interested, I'll link that in the description box below. However, in this video, I thought I would cover two hacks that I discovered after owning this bag, and they may not be obvious to a new Lady Dior owner or someone who doesn't own the bag. The other video that I've been meaning to do is to also talk about how I care for my patent leather bags, and I think this video has presented me with the perfect opportunity to do so. So the idea of this collaboration came about after I watched this video of Eva's, and in that video, Eva expressed concern that her bag was perhaps inauthentic because the D charm on her Lady Dior bag was flipped and she had no way of flipping it the other way again. So because she bought her bag pre-loved, Eva then questioned the authenticity of her bag. Funnily enough, the same thing had happened to me before. The D charm on my Lady Dior bag was flipped the other way, and I was really confused because I bought my bag from the boutique. And yes, there is a chance of buying fake bags from boutiques. Go ahead and watch my video about how it happened to Louis Vuitton if you're interested. I've linked that below. Still, the chances of that happening is really remote. It bugged me for months. I'm like, why is my D flipped like it is right now? And then I had an epiphany. All you need to do, let me show you, is this. Ta-da! And the D is the right way around again. So that was the first hack. Now the next hack I want to cover is how to attach this strap. The thing is, this is something that my Dior SA actually taught me, and I guess that's the advantage of purchasing in boutique. If you purchased it online and it got delivered to you, I think it's quite intuitive to try and attach the strap on the inside of the top handle. And when you do that, it will just cause the top handle to flap apart just like so. So instead of attaching it on the inside of the top handle, you put the top handles together and you attach it on the outside. And that way, when you carry it on your shoulder or crossbody, the top handles will stay up. Moving on to the next part of the video, which is caring for patent leather bags. Now, I own a lot of patent leather, and I have to admit that was more or less out of ignorance because I was not aware how high maintenance patent leather can be. I initially had the impression that patent leather was relatively carefree. Of course, I appreciated the look of it as well. But with the patent leather coating, I got the initial impression that obviously if it gets wet, you can just wipe it off. And it also gave me the impression that it was more scratch resistant. And certainly patent leather does have these properties. However, over the years, I learned that patent leather can be relatively high maintenance. Now, let me tell you a story. So over here is my Coach Leah tote, and she's made of patent leather. I absolutely love this bag. She's been my workhorse for many years. So when I first bought her, she was one of my first expensive bags in my younger days. The second time I wore her out, she got this terrible color transfer on the back from a new black jacket. I was absolutely devastated when I saw that. But at the time, I decided to turn a blind eye towards this stain, and I just continued using her, and I never looked at the stain at all. I think it was about 7 years after I had bought the bag and had been using her, I decided to look at the stain. And lo and behold, the stain was gone. So I have no idea when the stain rubbed off, but it must have gradually rubbed off onto my other clothing, and it's completely gone. So now I'm certainly very wary of color transfer onto my patent leather products. And I guess I've just shared this story with you because if you have a patent leather item that you have had a color transfer upon, maybe just continue using it, it might come off. I've also learned that if the ink is not too set in and the stain is relatively fresh, sometimes a leather specialist can remove it. Now, other than ink, patent leather is also prone to stains from other things like oils on our hands. So if you have a bag with top handles that you're going to frequently grab, especially if they're light colored and they're in patent leather, I would strongly suggest that you go ahead and wrap the top handles. Now, of course, in our community, it's very popular to go ahead and wrap our top handles in a silk scarf, you know, whether it be a twilly, a bandor, or a mitza, depending on which fashion house you want to buy from. Now, bear in mind, very expensive silk scarves can still cause color transfer onto bags. This is what I do with my Kelly. I wrap the top handle with crepe bandage first before I put a silk scarf over it. So if you intend on wrapping your patent leather top handle with silk scarves, go ahead and put some crepe bandage underneath it first. Patent leather is also really prone to mold. So especially if you live somewhere with a humid climate, make sure you store your patent leather in a place that has really good ventilation and also with desiccants. The other thing to bear in mind is that patent leather can change color, especially when it's used in the sun. And that's because of the patent coating. Now, I'm just going to digress a little bit here and talk about how there are some of us who like to try and buy the Hermes PVC Kelly. So that's a limited edition bag. And if you want to buy it now, you have to look on the resale market. And the comments that I hear is that, oh, you know, I managed to find an Hermes PVC Kelly that hasn't gone yellow. Now, the fact that it hasn't gone yellow, that's because it actually hasn't been used in the sun. Just bear in mind that if you have a PVC bag and you don't want it to go yellow, you can't use it in the sun. It's actually the sun's UV rays that turns the PVC yellow. And that's exactly what you're seeing, especially on light colored patent leather bags. And the thing is, the sun can also alter the color of leather bags that are not patent leather. The sun does all sorts of bad things to leather, like it bleaches it, changes color, and so on and so forth. But when you have a patent leather bag, you technically have a double whammy. You get a color change of the original leather and you get a color change of the PVC coating as well. And that's why you can see a lot of inconsistencies when there is a patent leather good that has changed color. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're going to buy a patent leather bag and you are not keen on seeing all these color changes, go for a really dark color like black or dark blue. And if you have a light colored one and you really want to maintain its color, don't use it in the sun. Now I'm going to go ahead and watch Eva's video. I've linked it over here, so why don't you come and join me?